Hello and how's it going, everybody? It is Skullzi here with the latest gaming news, rumors, and speculation. I have a pretty exciting video for you all today because, out of nowhere, a meteor named Zur struck the Earth with some more Starfield information, and when I first heard about this interview, I didn't think it would be as interesting as it ended up being. I figured Zur wouldn't be able to tell us any information about Starfield that we haven't heard already. However, that isn't what happened. Instead, not only did Zur give us a bit more information about Starfield indeed, but at the same time, he ended up getting me even more hyped for this game than I was before I watched this interview. So with all that in mind, let's not waste any more time and get right into today's content. First off, this interview comes from a pretty surprising source, which isn't IGN for once. IGN for some reason has an exclusive plug with Bethesda, getting all those unique Todd Howard interviews, but instead, this information comes from a pretty small but well-built and passionate YouTube channel called The Nikhil Hogan Show. Nick's channel focuses on interviewing various musicians and composers and discussing the intricate details and skills utilized within the music industry. He also interviews each guest about their own experiences and skills as well, so the fact that we got any new legit Starfield info at all from this channel is indeed a bit of an anomaly, but it all starts to make sense when we see Nick's latest interview was with none other than Zur. Out of nowhere, Nick drops an hour-plus interview with talking about several musical topics such as music, and also Bethesda. If you're a musical connoisseur, then I highly suggest you check out Nick's channel. Link will be down in the description below, and huge shout out to Nick for getting us some more Starfield information. The Starfield portion of this interview is about 55 minutes in, but of course in today's video I'll break down every Starfield statement from Zur, break down what it means, and give you my take on all of this. Please insert skooma to continue. So normally during interview breakdowns like these, I'd post small clips of the interview itself. However, since the original source of this interview is on YouTube, I need to play it safe as to not accidentally awaken the demonetization demons or the copyright auto-target turret defense systems. Instead, I'll break down all the Starfield statements and information in order of when it's spoken during this interview, and there is only just over 2 minutes of discussion about Starfield. But it all starts when Nick bravely looks into the darkness, watches it look back upon him, and isn't afraid to say, "Speak." Nick states that there is a ton of anticipation for Starfield, and he asks Zur if there is anything he can say at all about this game. And before I break down Enan's responses, I just want to say throughout his Starfield statements, Enan himself looks super excited and passionate about this game, and if a game's composer is both in love and passionate about a project, that'll only mean greater things for the game's soundtrack, which definitely gets me hyped. Enan thinks to himself for a moment, pondering what he could say without risking Todd Howard summoning the Dark Brotherhood, and with newly instilled confidence, Enan responds. He first says that Starfield is a huge game, which we already kinda knew that already, but what he says next I find most interesting. He states that Starfield is a deep game, but not only in terms of the gameplay and the game systems, but also because Starfield is a philosophical game, which is a very interesting quote indeed, one that he will elaborate on here shortly, but he continues on by saying that Starfield will consume a lot of people's time. He states that if you're excited for Starfield, prepare for it to consume not only your time, but your mind and your very being, which is very intriguing as it's been a while since a Bethesda Game Studios RPG has actually done that, at least in terms of the main storyline. It seems like Starfield could very well be a secret soul gem, absorbing our souls and power and channeling it directly to Todd, forever encapsulating us within another Daedric plane where we're forced to buy Skyrim forever. All jokes aside though, the way Enan talks about Starfield's main story makes it sound like it could be the biggest and most engrossing main story out of any previous Bethesda Game Studios game yet. Also, just look at how Nick is smiling during this interview. He knows he just struck gold here. Just look at how excited Enan is to talk about this game. The hype is so infectious that even if Nick wasn't a gamer, which I'm not sure if he is or not, he still can't help but smile back either way. This is exactly what I mean when I say the hype is assuming direct control. The next bit is also very interesting because you can tell Enan has some very profound and specific things he wants to say about Starfield and its main story, only throughout his statement he keeps pausing so he can think about how he could possibly say this without breaking NDA. Enan navigates through this peculiar situation with the dialed-in skills of a pilot navigating through an asteroid field though, and states that while Starfield may not change who you are as a person, by the time you finish this game, Enan believes you as the player will have a deeper and more unique perspective about the universe, and perhaps even about mankind itself, which is rather huge and makes Starfield sound not just like a game, but an actual journey. A journey both into the cosmos, but also into ourselves, as we explore both places to find answers and deeper meaning in life's greatest questions, and I love this. Then Nick asks Ian and Zur how big Starfield is music-wise, and Ian responds by saying that it's not just the size of Starfield that makes it impressive, but regardless, Starfield is indeed easily 2 times larger than any previous Bethesda game yet. Ian states that while the game is huge in both its scope and its systems, the real beauty of Starfield is that the game is courageous enough to both ask huge philosophical questions and at the same time try to also answer these questions, bringing the player on a journey not just through an amazing futuristic space universe, but also into themselves, and finally venturing bravely into the unknown, seeking answers in a mysterious cosmos that we could only but dream of comprehending. He states that Starfield isn't just another Bethesda game, it's not just another shooter, it's not just another RPG, but standing at its core is a philosophical journey that offers something we've never seen before by Bethesda. He states that the story in Starfield is very important and unique, and what makes it even more unique is how each individual player is free to go about and experience the story in their own way, indicating that the main story in Starfield may have more focus than any previous Bethesda game yet, but not only that, more freedom of player movement, more unique decisions and branching pathways and quest chains, and more unique outcomes and endings than we've ever seen before, which, in my opinion, just sounds absolutely incredible. When you combine this focus on a grand and deep storyline with the setting and gameplay systems, Starfield is adding up to not only be an amazing game, but something very special. It sounds like it could be one of those rare journeys we occasionally get over the years, from books to movies to games, something that once in a while transcends the medium and becomes something deeply ingrained within ourselves. Not only pixels on a screen or ink on a book, but something that resonates within the fathoms of our very mind, shaping our perspective both within and without. Red Dead Redemption 2 was one of those games for me, and if Starfield is as epic as Ian and Zur makes it sound in this interview, then Starfield will easily be one of those games as well. Like I said, this interview had a lot more interesting information than I originally thought we'd get, and on top of all that, it definitely drove the hype factor up as Ian said some huge things about this game that we haven't quite heard yet, and at the same time, seeing the composer so excited and passionate about this project is a beacon of hope, giving our hype safe passage throughout the voids of space. That's gonna finish up today's video though. As always, let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below. Did Ian's hype help assume direct control for you? Be sure to like the video as well, as that helps the algorithm push the channel to new people and helps grow our community here. I'd greatly appreciate it. Give the notification bell some skooma so you can stay in the know when it comes to the latest news. And finally, if you want to get a permanent featured video shout out at the end of every single one of my videos from this point forward, consider supporting the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all this and more are down in the description below, as well as a link for the Skullzi Discord and Skullzi merchandise. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when we're one day closer to this epic adventure.
It just works.